Hello and welcome to journal entry number 5. And today the main topics I will be discussing are the key points of scripts in terms of getting started to put your words to page. And they are the format, the drafts, and the scenes. And the overall importance of these topics, these are important when, yet again, you start laying the groundwork for your scripts. You start putting your ideas onto the paper and you start going along with what you're making. The general impressions of the film I selected, yet again, it's another dark and um, awe-inspiring tale. It kind of reminds me of The Boy with the Striped Pajamas, and I'll get into it later, why. But yet again, this was just a grind, especially with this movie to kind of get through. It was tough and kind of heartbreaking at the same time. So the main topics I'll be discussing, format. It is critically important for your paper, according to the readings. It establishes a writer's professionalism, and it helps to render your screenplay readable and reliable, because now you have a main way to get your words to the paper, and it's easier for people to understand and get through. Drafts. It's when you start the process of writing your script, you have multiple drafts, and you have to consider every draft you make your first. Like Taika Waititi, he recently spoke about Thor: Love and Thunder, the next Thor film, and about how he had to go through 5 to 6 drafts of the script to get one that he said, if it works, it works. It can really help and understand the actors and the producers, and that he verifies that you have to take these drafts like it's your first, otherwise you can't really get any work done. And the scenes, they help you with the movies. You film them each individually. You get a layout with storyboards about how you're going to shoot, where you're going to shoot, and generally the lines and the characters that are involved. And these purposes are very, very important. They really do help the audience understand the script, and they help to understand generally what they're trying to do and how they're trying to do it. And you can recognize these in any films, even good or bad films. Like, you can recognize like how the format of the script is put together, and like the scenes, if actors will appear and reappear, like how they're filmed different times at different days. Like I'll explain at the very end what I mean by that part about scenes with different characters in different times. And there are a lot of advantages to kind of multiple drafts, formats, and scenes, because it's very important that you have backups to ensure that you know that you're getting things right, and to kind of help you tone down and craft your story together. But at the same time, if nobody really does that, if no one focuses too much on the first draft or the first format or the scenes, then really your film struggles. And it's very, very hard to kind of get the audience to understand what's going on. And the best strategy is, to practice on these 3 things. Practice your format every now and then. Practice your drafts. Write as many drafts as you can. Always treat them like they're your first and only ones. And with your scenes, film them multiple times. Get them through all the way. Understand them more. And it will help your film significantly. So the film I chose, Life is Beautiful, it's an Italian film about a man who marries a woman, and they have a child together. However, they're all sent to a concentration camp, and the little boy doesn't know what's going on. So in order to kind of keep the little boy away from knowing what's going to happen, the dad treats them going to the concentration camp like a game, and he tells his son to go out and do these certain things while in the concentration camp. And the film presents the scenes very well in how they try to show you the dark horrors of the Holocaust and concentration camps with a game about how the people in there are just pieces of a pawn in terms of a greater scheme. And even the director himself, who also starred in the film, talked about how he had to go through a lot of drafts of the script because it just wasn't putting things together about like how I can make this film memorable and how it can be important. And the movie does succeed in showing the scenes very well and how they all interconnect and kind of work together. And it plays up on the irony that, like I said, the Nazis see the people in these concentration camps like chess pieces, and it's really dark and it's really um, literate in how it does these parts. And I will say the best elements are that the dad teaching the son that it's a game to hide his innocent mind from the horrors of war and reality that is going on, and how they establish it in the format of the script really shines through in the emotional moments. And the worst elements, I couldn't really find any. I think that this really is a solid attempt of, comparing your scenes and how the audience can really get affected by one certain scene of a dad kind of trying to change his son's mind on what's been going on. So I will use these theories and concepts to an extent because, like I said, don't over exaggerate yourself or you end up taking way too much time on certain things. But I highly suggest that, as a writer, learning from this film, you can really understand how iconic scenes and moments really come from multiple attempts of trying to write a good story, multiple attempts of trying to put a good format together, multiple attempts of just doing the right thing. And the connections I find between this and other films is yet again, like Taika Waititi talked about Thor 4 and the multiple scripts he had to go through, and certain other actors who've come forward and said that, multiple times our directors had to rewrite our scripts on scene because he wanted to kind of build a better connection between us and the characters we're playing, as well as the audience to the film. And how Quentin Tarantino even talks about how I don't focus on just one draft, I focus on multiple. I give them all equal time because I want people to fully embrace the idea that I have about drafts and that they are super duper important and you can't just skip one and move on. You have to take every time with it. You have to spend each time with those scripts, or yet again, your movie just falls flat. So I liked these topics. They were really good, and they really helped to create kind of this thought process that you need to have throughout every process of making a script. Like from the very, very beginning, you have to have a lot of thought put into these. So to summarize, the formats, the drafts, and the scenes, they really help this film really well. They really help this emotional connection that you have in every scene that these characters are in. And, like I said earlier about scenes, there are some bad scenes in films like Samurai Cop. I highly suggest you watch that because it's a perfect example of how scenes really don't go together. And like I said, if you watch the movie, then you'll see what I'm talking about. So my citations are Walter Richard in Format Essentials of Screenwriting. Um, and I'll just say peace. Y'all have a good day.